The biggest lie the Bay Area has ever told, and it's time to set the record straight today on Locked On A's.
You are Locked On A's, your daily podcast on the Athletics, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. I am your host, Booney, one name. Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen of the day. I'm from the Bay Area, and I've been a diehard A's fan since 1981. I'm here to bring you a real fan's take, covering everything from Oakland to Sacramento to Las Vegas. This is the place for A's fans to get the latest game breakdowns, team news, and more. This is where the passion of the fans take center stage. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. And please hit that subscribe button wherever you are following the show. Guys, we are still officially considered off season, which means episodes will run 3 days a week. I don't know what days those will be. It depends on news that hit the wire on the A's, but yes, it's 3 days a week, and episodes should be up at 6 a.m. during the week. I'm shooting for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It could be adjusted, but right now that's the plan. Starting the week of February 10, we will be back to 5 days a week, which happens to be exactly when pitchers and catchers do report. Like I have said on many of occasions, I have been an A's and Bay Area sports fan for over 40 years. Thinking back, my 3 favorite sports teams of all time are the 1984 Niners, 2012 A's, and the 2007 We Believe Warriors, in that order. I supported the Giants as well, and best performance I have probably ever seen all time was Madison Bumgarner Game 7 in the 2014 World Series, and Curt Schilling Game 6, 2004 was pretty remarkable. Point is, I love sports. I always have, and the team that I have loved the most has been the A's for what they have accomplished with who they have. When I began podcasting on Locked On, I thought it would be fun talking baseball, prospects, etc. That has been the last thing anyone has been interested in. 1, because the A's really don't have a fan base, and 2, Oakland has no interest in baseball. If you look at the performances of this show, from Jason Burke to Wayne Coy to Sully, when the topic is about baseball, no one cares. If it is about John Fisher, there is an interest. I have definitely received my, let's say, not so kind and personal messages from Oakland, because my opinion may be different than, let's say, what is considered popular. I have a message for you, Oakland. That's later. The clash between Oakland and Las Vegas fascinates me. That clash comes with misinformation from fans and media members, which shocks me. The arrogance of the Bay Area media and fans stink, to say the least, which is okay if you are somewhat educated in what you say, but you are not. That's in a bit. First, I'm proud of the A's. I'm proud of their history, their accomplishments, and their winning throughout their rich history. I smile thinking of those memories, and by God, I will not let those memories disappear based on the biggest lie Oakland and the Bay Area media continues to shove down our throat. Up next. This episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed, win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. I've watched your documentaries about John Fisher and the Sell the Team movement. I've listened to podcasts such as Brody Brazil, and I have read commentary, listened to commentary of Scott Ostler with the SF Chronicle. And I have seen pundits alike say similar messages. I have made it clear from the beginning. I have stated my position on the A's, their history of trying to build a ballpark in Oakland from East Oakland, Fremont, the Coliseum site, Howard Terminal, San Jose, etc. I have expressed my displeasure with how ownership has handled managing the team from Schott to Wolf and now Fisher, from pocketing revenue sharing, not being forthcoming, and in my opinion, never really having any intention of staying in Oakland. I have been clear of my position. I have been clear regarding my opinion on the A's moving to Las Vegas. One day, I didn't think it was going to happen, to the next day, thinking it would. The day I thought they would move to Vegas, wow, you Oakland fans attacked me like no other, which is part of the game, I guess. One thing I will not stand for is the A's franchise to be looked at as an uncompetitive franchise or a losing franchise. Your hate runs so deep for John Fisher where you are willing to flat out lie about the A's history to support your hatred of John Fisher. Here is the type of so-called fan that drives me up the wall. This individual put together a short documentary to send to MLB to try to convince the owners to vote against the move. While the short 10-minute video was well done, it was misleading and was not fully truthful. If you are going to send something like that to MLB to sway a vote, not that they even watched it, maybe a good idea to tell the whole truth or less misleading guy. He used a quote from Mayor Tao saying it's true that attendance has remained depressed in Oakland post-pandemic. But I don't think that would be shocking to anybody that has witnessed underinvestment in the team during this period. As we saw in 2019, when the team was competitive, the fans turned out. That's simply not true. That is a bold-faced lie that you misled your audience as far as depicting something that's completely false. In 2019, the A's were 24th in attendance out of 30 teams. In 2000, they had a record of 91 wins, 70 losses, made the playoffs, 23rd in attendance out of 30 teams. 2001, 102 wins, 60 losses, made the playoffs, 19th in attendance. 2002, 103 wins, 59 losses, made the playoffs, 18th in attendance. 2003, 96 wins, 66 losses, made the playoffs, 17th in attendance. 2006, 93 wins, 69 losses, made the playoffs, lost in the ALCS, 26th out of 30 teams in attendance. 2012, 94 wins, 68 losses, made the playoffs, 27th out of 30 teams in attendance. 2013, 96 wins, 66 losses, 23rd in attendance. 2014, 88 wins, 74 losses, made the playoffs, lost in the divisional round, 24th in attendance. 2018, 97 wins, 65 losses, made the playoffs, lost in the divisional round, 27th out of 30 teams in attendance. 2019, 97 wins, 65 losses, made the playoffs, lost in the divisional round, 24th in attendance. 2020, COVID year, 36 wins, 24 losses, made the playoffs, lost second round, I believe. 2021, 86 wins, 76 losses, a very competitive A's team that fell short of postseason, 29 of 30 teams in attendance. You had another fan saying in your documentary, we have always been a very strong fan base. We have always supported the team. Don't tell me there were no fans here. They just didn't go away in 4 years. I mean, are you kidding me? Yes, you have been a good fan base when the A's have spent money and won games, which has happened 2 times. In 1991, when the A's were 7th in attendance and 5th in payroll. Now, I saw in the video you had them 5th in attendance, which is half true. The Red Sox and Dodgers that year, I believe, played 4 less games. So if you actually took the average, it puts the A's at 7th. But hey, the way you did it, I like the way you manipulated the numbers, supports your narrative even better. Question. You pulled out 1991 in the video. Why didn't you cover the other 33 years? I mean, just curious. Why didn't you show the other 33 years? Then you have the audacity to post this. I'm learning that most of us in SAC are clueless as to what the heck happened in Oakland and the hypocrisy shown by Vivek. It is tiresome trying to share the facts. Hey, guy, why don't you start with the facts? Then you have the audacity to send me this message? You have become tone deaf in drinking the Kool-Aid. A's attendance seems to be directly tied to payroll. Invest little people see it as you don't care. You are sounding very new to this saga. Hey, slow your roll, kid. If you're going to make a movie, start with some honesty. Start with some full truth. Don't BS your way around it. And don't come at me with any type of situation where I'm new to this saga. I've been following the A's for 40 years, way before you. You know Jack, and you've proved it already with that documentary you put out. How do you use the quote in your video, quote unquote, don't tell me there were no fans here. They just didn't go away. The fans were never there. The A's were in the top 10 attendance in all of Major League Baseball 5 times in 56 years, which included 4 World Series championships. And I don't know how many playoff appearances off the top of my head. The rebuttal to that is they never spent any money. Well, they spent in 1984, 9th in payroll, 19th in attendance. In 1995, 7th in payroll, 24th in attendance. 2007, 17th in payroll, 27th in attendance. To be honest, I can care less about payroll. I don't care if they spend a single nickel on the team. I care that they win. That's all I care about. Isn't that what all fans are supposed to do? I don't think that is the case. 5 teams have only more playoff appearances than the A's since 2000. Don't tell me they have not put a competitive team on the field. That is utter BS. Unless you are saying you would rather spend money than win, if you are saying that, you are not a fan. How about old Scott Osler with the SF Chronicle on foul territory, completely bashing the A's, quote unquote? It's a reign of error, a long time of suffering under John Fisher. Or foul territory saying some people want a successful athletics team in Oakland with a picture of Joe Lacob. Are you guys even aware of what the A's have done? Maybe I'm naive, but the owner only matters when the A's lose. The A's have won under Finley, Haas, Schott, Wolf, and Fisher. No one realizes that because mainstream media, like Scott Osler, like a Brody Brazil, fail to tell the complete truth of the A's. They tell parts of the truth that fits their narrative, leaving everything else out. It's an utter joke and a disappointment. Be better. The A's are going to Vegas. Let's dive into some of the narratives out of that fiasco and a message I have for Oakland. Up next. Today's episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same game parlays, and so much more. National championship is 1 week from tonight. Notre Dame and Ohio State. I have that line at Ohio State minus 8.5 and 45.5 on the total. What do you like? I don't know yet. I just can't figure it out right now. But if you do, just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So I was watching one podcaster and saw some of his social media posts. I mean, this guy was literally tracking sales of stock John Fisher was placing to try to get a gauge on when he will pay for the stadium. True story. I couldn't believe it. I watch Vital Vegas on Twitter, who thinks the A's will not end up in Vegas. He thinks that whatever the Fishers have to sell in order to come up with the money will come at too much of a cost on what he has to liquidate, which was my original thought until the family got involved. I believe Vital Vegas still have that take. I could be wrong. He said a lot. At the end of the day, Vegas may well not happen, but there is nothing that indicates that. Any verbiage towards that is simply just talk. The thought that Fisher has to put money in an escrow account or that nobody has seen any money towards the project is any type of gauge that this will not happen is simply not true. You won't see Fisher put any money into this project until the very last second. I'm going to tell you why. The money Fisher has and what he needs to do to put in the project is literally a push of a button. An individual like John Fisher or any type of individual with a securities portfolio of a somewhat decent size has the ability to borrow against this portfolio in the form of what is called an S block, SBLOC. An S block stands for a securities-backed line of credit. And what an individual does on an S block is they borrow money using your security holdings as your collateral. Your loan to value can be 50%. It can go up to 90%, depending on a bunch of factors. Now, If the Fishers have a total value of Gap stock, for example, of I think they're around 3 billion, maybe 3.5 billion, taking 1.5 billion out is as easy as a press of a button. Problem is, once you press that button, you start paying interest. So it's safe to assume John Fisher will press that button at the very, very last second. They don't need to liquidate anything. They don't need to sell anything. It is that easy. Another great thing about the S block is that a lender cannot use that as a liability when underwriting another transaction. In other words, it will have zero impact on his financing deal with US Bank or Goldman Sachs. I hope that clears up whether Fisher will get the funds out or not. Lastly, Oakland. Why do you want the A's so bad? You weren't like this when the Raiders left. You weren't like this when the Warriors left. You haven't gone to games, whether they have won or lost. And I've never blamed the fans. I've made that clear on what I believe the reasoning was for the lack of attendance. Do you only want the A's like they were in 1991 and 1992? Or maybe you just hate John Fisher that much. Fisher has handled this as poorly as you can. I will agree with that. There's not much debate. Brody Brazil, Scott Ostler, you small documentary guys trying to make a name for yourself. Why do you only tell half the truth? Brody, when you had the guy doing the Summer of Cell documentary, why didn't you call him out on his half-truths on his brief documentary? It wasn't fully true. It was partially true, but it wasn't fully. It was very misleading. It was put together to support a particular narrative. Why are you painting a team out that you claim to be a lifetime fan as a loser? A franchise that cannot field a competitive team? At the end of the day, that's what bothers me most. I listen, I read, I watch, and I wonder if any of you have ever seen a game. I would have never thought as Oakland to be a city where they would only support their team if they spent money. I thought it would be because they won. That doesn't seem to be the case. Maybe I have lived in a lie for years, thinking the Oakland fans are something they are not. I hate thinking that. And an individual from Vegas posted a tweet that says, I feel sorry for the real A's fans, but not the rest of the jackasses that seem to just yell. He's right. And apparently, I'm the real A's fan. Because if your fandom is conditional on the A's spending over winning, you're not a fan. With that being said, I've had guests like Kevin Peters, AC, Pete Turner, studs, great fans, all with different opinions, all with different takes, but real fans. If the majority of Oakland feels that spending is a priority over winning, and I hate to say it, you don't deserve the A's. And I even hate to say this more. I'm glad they're leaving. You may agree or disagree with what I say, and that's fine. But it is the truth. It's undeniable. To the media, guys like Scott Ostler, Brody Brazil, and whoever else I left out. You know who you are. Do your job. The A's have won. The A's have been successful over whatever period of time you want to call it. They're among the best franchises in all of baseball. History proves that. Tell the truth, not half the truth. Give your audience two honest perspectives and let them decide. This isn't CNN or Fox. At the end of the day, this is baseball. Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I will see you tomorrow